Hello, we should be live. What's up? Oh, hang on, let's just move that. We've got... Wait a second. Where are we? There we go. Perfect. Because it's Talk Like a Pirate Day. No, we're not, but we're wearing pirate hats to celebrate. There we go. Yeah, and such. How are we doing, everybody? It's us. We're here for this. When we're done with it, I can go away like that. Look, whoop, gone. See? But now at least it's gone blurry as well. Great. Yeah, it's fine. Hello and welcome to this. We owed you one last week and it didn't happen, so we're here this week instead to, I don't know, talk about books, I guess. Maybe at some point we should actually get around to some sort of assigned reading, like, hey, not even anything specific, just like, I don't know, go away and read something and then we'll come back and talk about it, tell us what... Oh wait, no one can hear what Lucy's saying still because I had... Even though I fixed the desktop audio, if you try speaking now...
Really? You have me muted again?
I had you muted again, yeah. Because I guess...
This is how much Sam values my opinion and...
Go on, I can mute you again. Also, I look like I'm peaking, so I'm actually going to turn my gain down a little bit sometimes. So, good. Let's get the audio problems out of the way. Yeah, you can now hear what Lucy's saying. She was saying, like, why are we wearing hats and stuff like that. It's very, very good conversation.
Yeah.
But yeah, hello. I just heard Joey at the door, so you talk for a sec. I'm just going to go let him in.
Okay. How is everyone doing? I hope recovery from the Bristol Shanty Festival is going all right, Lynn. That sounds like a very exhausting time. Yeah, that's not a lot of sleep. I hope you get more.
I'm back now.
I got a message from a friend of mine who I would definitely not have pegged as being a shanty person, and I don't think knows anything about shanties or folk music. And I got a message from him on Saturday night of a clip of a pub where everyone was singing shanties, asking me if I was at Bristol Shanty Festival. I was like, no, but what the hell are you doing there? So that was kind of weird.
Cool.
So, yeah, that slightly surreal. But yeah, things are good. Yay!
Hey, nice.
Bugging co-workers with nerdy songs. That is the best kind of thing to do with your co-workers. Bug them with nerdy songs. Why is my camera constantly going out of focus? What is going on?
Am
I not light enough?
Ray Trace as well. Thank you for the resub.
Is there a ghost behind me?
Yeah, there might be. But yeah, hello and welcome to this. Where just making myself comfortable, I guess. Yeah, so when we raided Stephen the other week, or the other month, I guess, and he was like, "Oh, book club, yeah. What book were you talking about?" And I realised, oh yeah, that when you say book club, there's an expectation that you're like, you had an assigned book, because normal book clubs operate where you here is the book, go away and read this for next time, and then we'll all come back and discuss our feelings about it. And this is more just like, I guess, book fan club, where it's people who just kind of.
I mean,
read.
We're still reading books and then talking about them because we're still reading the ones that we're reading on stream.
It's book enjoyers club.
Yes,
it's
book appreciation club.
Yeah, it's not for like everyone's read this specific thing and we're going to talk about this and only this. It's like, I don't know, tell us what you've been reading. I don't read a lot or anything like off stream at the moment, so all I can really talk about is what I've been reading in the last few weeks, which has been War of the Worlds. So which has been an adventure. I've actually been quite enjoying it.
Yeah,
it's
almost like it's almost like that's why it's a classic. It's quite good.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, again, like it's interesting because I've obviously encountered it before. So Joey's just making his way down to my lap. Hello.
Of course.
I've encountered it before in various like TV and film adaptations. So it's a story and an ending that I am extremely familiar with. But
yeah,
it's interesting actually seeing the story, like seeing the original story from which those adaptations have derived, and both like the time period in which it's set, because obviously you've got like technologically things were a lot less advanced then than they are now.
Yeah.
So it's not cars like in the the Spielberg adaptation, and the weaponry is much more. It's like mounted guns and riflemen and mounted hussars running around, and like, if a wire gets cut, that's the telegraph down. If if a train track gets damaged at all, then that's everyone's method of locomotion, so to speak, out. So it's odd, kind of, well, not odd, but it's interesting actually seeing it in that original context. And yeah, again, sort of thinking like, hey, this was written before World War One. Interesting.
Yeah.
And yeah, and I do appreciate. Oh, sorry, Joey, just you got some sneezing, or some of the weasels. Yeah, like there's the comment on the front page about we don't, well, not don't judge the aliens, but sort of we may dislike the aliens for coming here and doing this to us, but then we as the English, as the British Empire, have gone and done exactly this to other countries, in particular in Tasmania. There are a couple of questions sort of raised about that, where he kind of keeps comparing sort of talking about how far more advanced the aliens are, and how basically to them we are animals. And it's like, please don't tell me that you're talking of the Tasmanians and the other races who have been brutalized by the British Empire as subhuman. Like, I think that might be just kind of extrapolating things. I hope it's extrapolating things too far, but also it's not too far-fetched for the era to think that people held those views. But broad strokes, I appreciate that the kind of the contrast and the slightly kind of anti-empire attitude of, we've also treated people pretty badly, so maybe we should think about that. And maybe, like, if we're upset by this, maybe we should also be upset about the atrocities that we ourselves have visited upon other people in the name of expanding our own reach and empire. And it
is a moral tale at its heart. Basically, don't go conquering and treating other people or other races like crap.
Don't do this. It's quite simple. There
you go.
I mean,
don't invade, kids.
or vote in favor of it. And also there was the unfortunate stuff with the forgotten the guys, the
curate.
That's the one. I was like, cleric, no, church guy, it begins with a C. No, curate. The curate having his breakdown, and our protagonist's handling of that, which again,
I shall silence him. Oops, whoops. Might have slightly killed him.
Well, I didn't kill him, just knocked him unconscious and left him for dead, to be taken accidentally by the aliens, by the Martians.
Definitely not dead. Definitely, absolutely fine.
It's
no guilty conscience there.
The curate was rendered unconscious. How he became dead. And again, like, it's I'm not down with the thing that seems to happen a lot online nowadays. Sounded like an old man, where every action of the protagonist is read as being endorsed and sort of justified by the author. Like,
by the author,
protagonist did this, so therefore the author thinks this, and firstly we will say that the author thinks it's okay to do this, and quote everything said by any character in the book as a line directly attributable to the author. Don't do that. It's really annoying. It's
also very wrong.
I can say it's dishonest at best. It's like, attribute it to the character via the author, sure, because then that places it within the context in which it was written. But
good people who are like authors, like people who have like good opinions and like are generally nice, generous, kind, giving people, have written awful characters. And those characters do and say awful things. So good people are also capable of seeing the bad and writing about it, but don't necessarily believe that themselves. It's just a little bit worrying when people are like, they created this character that is evil, therefore they must be too.
It's how you can explore these subjects and these topics, and sometimes they can be explored badly. Authors can pick a dark subject, and Joey, please don't try and sleep on the desk. I know. Yeah, I just realised what he was doing. It can be handled badly, and yes, it's not wrong to call authors out when they handle something badly, but just daring to broach a subject shouldn't be off the cards. Sometimes characters,
because then no one's ever going to talk about anything.
Yeah, sometimes characters definitely not heroes, and a lot of readers miss the point. Exactly, and that's real easily
Frankenstein.
Done. Hey,
excellent example.
I mean, Fight Club. The number, just as a simple example, the number of people that miss the point from that film. Is it based on the book? I don't know.
No idea.
I'm not sure.
Maybe.
Probably.
A lot of films are. Yeah,
but that's one that a lot of people famously miss a point. Like, oh yeah, woo, fight clubs, let's go and fight each other. And toxic masculinity, it's all about this. No, it's the opposite of that. It's actually, this thing's really bad and dangerous and painful and leads to cults, and you just thought this was cool. And sometimes that can be, this is getting off onto another subject entirely, that can be through Fight Club as a specific example. David Fincher, the director, directs with a very, very kind of appealing, very slick, very cool style a lot of the time. And if you cast Brad Pitt as, spoilers for Fight Club, it only came out last year, but I think we can talk about it. Yes. Well, I'm gonna break those rules. You can't stop me.
Shocking.
If you cast Brad Pitt as effectively your antagonist, Tyler Durden, as someone who ultimately you don't want the audience to like, and you give him lines that are presented in a cool fashion, then people will take the wrong reading from that. People will see that and go, oh yeah, and it's a problem. It's a problem with cinema, it's a problem with books. If you write a charismatic villain, people will misunderstand that and either think that you want people to like this person, or they'll just like this person and not get the message that, bad people can be charismatic. That's generally how they succeed, by being charismatic and deceiving people and, getting them on their side. That's how it works. And we stop before we actually read the message and go, but all the bad things they did were in fact bad, and we should be more cautious of this. But, surely you can't have a book with only good, wholesome characters. You need something to make the story interesting. Yes, exactly. And it's not every time, but it's just sometimes when you see it, it's like, this. I'm trying to think of a specific example, so I'm not just straw. It's not exactly straw manning, but that kind of thing of we just make up an example and then tear it down. But I've definitely seen it where it's like, this author thinks that this kind of behaviour is okay, and then you look and he's like, no,
you've taken this entirely out of context, or
that was the bad person. That was the villain of the book. So this author thinks it's okay to breed an army of orcs and wage war across a nice peace-loving Middle Earth. No, that was Sauron. That was the bad guy. Did you not And there are legitimate criticisms of Tolkien's work, and this is just a hyperbolic example. But
And
anyway.
Speaking about books with good, wholesome characters and bad characters and characters doing things that aren't necessarily good, Count of Monte Cristo, I'm quite happy with where that's going. Because we're getting a bit of because he's been up to this point very much I am God's instrument, I am Providence, I am basically no man can touch me, I am wreaking my vengeance, I am
no man, stab.
There we go.
Sorry.
And so the fact that suddenly he's realized that, oh, I might have gone a bit far with
Oh
this.
no.
Oh, this is having consequences that I didn't foresee. I didn't expect. Oh dear, I'm feeling some remorse now. Which
Sometimes
hasn't.
there can be too much revenge.
Yeah, yeah. So it's interesting actually that he's suddenly sort of finding that humanity again,
Yeah.
and also that sort of in our last part. Spoilers, by the way, for anyone who hasn't caught up. But in the last part, he's like gone back to where he used to live and gone back to where he was
right.
imprisoned and stuff and getting all the memories back.
Hmm.
And it's like, yeah, just basically reminding himself of who he was and why. It feels a bit because he's kind of using it as a reminder to himself as to why he wanted this revenge in the first place, and he's
Yeah.
just like, I am doing the right thing. It's basically sort of, yeah, him justifying spoilers for book from 1844 too soon. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's kind of him justifying what he's done to himself because suddenly he realized that he felt guilty about it, whereas up till now he's felt that it was the right thing. And
Yeah.
sure, he kind of he is justified in a sense getting revenge on the people who unjustly got him locked up because they lied, they manipulated the
Yeah.
law, they like bad people did bad things to an innocent man.
Yeah.
But obviously there is a point at which you as the wronged party do need to just take stock,
Yeah.
step back and realize how many other people's lives you are ruining with this.
Yeah.
And I think he's suddenly realizing that, oh wait, this has got consequences on not only the people I want to have revenge on, but all of their families
Yeah.
and loved ones and people who are completely innocent.
Yeah.
And I've unintentionally done what the people did to me when I was younger to some of the young people
Yeah.
that I'm having an effect on. And it's quite interesting seeing that sort of come full circle. I'm intrigued to see what happens at the end, actually, because next time on Wednesday it'll be the last part.
Bum, bum, bum.
Which will be interesting.
Yeah.
I've already suggested to Sam we should get party poppers, but I don't think party poppers are going to be a thing, or party blowers or something, but that might be a bit loud. Yeah, just get my trumpet.
What about just hats?
But yeah, it's again, and that's quite an interesting one, like on the subject of an author believing a certain thing, because Dumas, this is about Dumas' dad. This whole book is basically him being a fanboy over his dad,
Yeah.
but obviously expounding everything and exaggerating everything by a million, because
You've got to make it exciting.
Yeah, exactly. You got to make him like larger than life.
The actual story is his dad was just tricked in a pub one night and then went and punched a bloke in the nose the week later, and he just sort of embellished a bit.
Yeah, he just got chucked in jail for one day and then got out.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, allegedly his dad was wrongfully imprisoned, so that bit at least is true. I don't know how much of the rest of it is, but it's very obvious that Dumas is just like, oh, the Count of Monte Cristo's masculine features and his fine, like long black hair and stuff like that.
And his son was really cool too.
Okay, yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's just like, I wonder what wonderful son he must have had. It's just like, stop, Dumas. So yeah, so there is. It does feel for that Dumas is kind of going along with, like, yes, he was right. He did the right thing with this sort of incredibly vengeful justice, and it's like, okay, Dumas, okay,
yeah,
take it with a pinch of salt. Okay, Dumas, yeah, exactly.
Sure,
but yeah, I'd be intrigued actually to look up sort of Dumas', I guess, philosophy, sort of what he believed was kind of the right moral code and stuff like that, because the kind of vengeful god type ideology and stuff is like, take revenge for the things that take revenge against the people who wronged you and stuff is like, eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth. It's like, but also
I can say
not always the best.
If nothing else, like that long ago, ideals and beliefs will have been very different on
of course,
up and down the spectrum. Like, yeah, like up and down the classes of society, like people will have held very different beliefs about where justice comes from and what vengeance is correct. And it was also, hey Speedy, welcome. It's good
Hello.
to see you. Yeah,
Hope you are well.
At that time, if someone broke the law, you pretty much just sent them to the gallows or sent them to the guillotine, and it's like, okay, that's going to establish. Hey, thank you for the resub.
That's okay. I forgot to do it at the beginning.
Oh yeah.
Sorry, I interrupted you.
No, it's okay. Like that's going to establish a very different line of thinking to what we have now, where fortunately, sadly, capital punishment still exists, but nowhere near as widespread or as broadly used for every single crime we could think of, and some that we just made up. So like it's mercifully not as bad now, and that's gonna impact how people see things. And so it's written for a different time and a different way of thinking, which
I also quite like the way, again, spoilers if people want to catch up, apologies. I do also quite like the way that Dumas writes kind of V4's breakdown, basically. The whole kind of I am the keeper of the justice. I am the crown prosecutor. I do justice. This is my whole thing. I send people to prison who deserve to go to prison. I have to be fair. I have to be impartial. But also, my wife's poisoning my entire family, and I can't tell anyone because then my name will go down in shame and all of that. And just the fact that just everything starts twisting and twisting around him tighter and tighter and tighter. And it all comes back to him having done... Well, yeah, interestingly, it doesn't come back to him being the one who ended up basically sending Edmund to prison. It goes back to him committing a crime, basically burying a child alive. Yay! It's like, and the fact that all kind of comes round, and he ends up running to the graveyard and just getting all frantic and thinking he can dig up the child that isn't even in that graveyard anyway. And it's just I just quite like how that's written, because it's not written in a kind of, oh, he's gone mad, lol. It's like, oh, madness. It's like, no, you can see the gradual wearing away of his mind. And how, of course, anyone in that situation would also probably have a breakdown. And it's not passed off as obviously can happen in especially, like, I mean, the era of literature that we tend to read tends to be very bad with how it deals with mental health, and how it presents it as like, oh, hysteria and oh, madness and all of
and
that
that's
kind of
partly
stuff.
just a misunderstanding. Like, it's not to justify or excuse it, but that was also just a misunderstanding. Like, we didn't. I mean, even now we're only just, like, it feels actually coming to accept that it's a health problem. It's not just like something you can just get over. It's an actual thing that needs to be addressed and treated as you would any other injury or illness. And so back then, where you were putting leeches on things and draining the humours and whatnot, good luck.
Telling people to get fresh air.
Yeah, fresh air and wine.
Just go for a sojourn in the country. That'll solve everything.
Did this wine make it better? No. Smelling salts? No. Good luck.
Brandy? Brandy always works.
The strong stuff. But also, I'm going to interrupt and say, Speedy, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Congratulations. You don't need to apologise. You are not derailing anything.
No,
it is all good.
That's
welcome. Great. Again, it's lovely to see you, and that's really great news. I'm glad. Really happy for you. That's great.
Yeah. Also, hi, Happers.
Hello.
I saw you snuck in.
Sneaking in there.
Yeah.
I'll just do a little bit. I'm not going to, because the purpose is. Oh, where is he? There we go.
Oh, cat cam.
Yeah.
Of course.
He is.
Bless him.
Yeah, but
it's the face on the desk. That can't be comfortable.
I
don't understand why
know.
He thinks that's comfortable. He just has to be on the desk.
Yeah. He's being a good boy.
For chat, I say occasionally, it seems becoming more and more frequent. Get messages from Joey via Discord, where Joey has just stood on Sam's laptop. It's very interesting.
Yeah.
It's kind of it's slightly eldritch.
I worry that he's going to get me banned from some Twitch channels.
Yeah, he will.
Because
at some point.
if I happen,
I mean, he's opened things on your laptop.
Yeah,
now.
he's opened things. He's changed settings by hitting shortcuts with his ass. He's
like a very talented boy.
Yeah, like settings I don't find out about for like another week until it's like, why is this not? Why are my key presses weird? And like, oh, it's because this got changed from some bizarre string of shortcuts that he found. Yeah, so he's going to get me banned from a Twitch channel at some point because I'm going to leave like the chat window selected, and he's just going to start jamming messages in and get like it's going to be someone who, you know. Let's face it, again, a lot of people have been dealing with a lot of abuse on Twitch, and some of that could be manifest in a random account that you don't recognize, just spamming stuff into chat. I tend to lurk a lot on streams more than I chat, so I'm not exactly familiar and known, and certainly not known to the point where it's like, oh, Sam has a cat that likes to sleep on his keyboard. So, yeah, it's going to happen at some point, and I'm going to be very upset and have to apologize. But, yeah, if you ever, like... If it ever happens on the Discord or any of the Discords that I'm in that are like
just one of the channels just
mutual,
gets completely filled with like backslashes.
Yeah, that's what's happened. He's just like loafed across the keyboard, and he knows he's not supposed to be there because when I come back into my room after being gone for like 3 minutes, well, he scampers. It's like the full cartoon like legs skidding across the desk as he tries to get down. He knows he shouldn't be there, but he does it anyway. I guess because it's warm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty sure it's happened in your streams before, Speedy.
Oh no.
Nice.
I apologise.
Ban Sam. No.
Time me out if you got to. I'm not going to tell people not. But yeah, just know that it's him, not me. Yeah.
When in doubt, blame Joey.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're going to be finishing Count of Monte Cristo soon. And then, Sam, are you going to be reading Dracula?
That's the plan, yeah. I don't know how long it's going to take me to get through. Probably a while.
It's like, what, that long?
Yeah, but it's quite dense. In the actual like text on the page there's a lot.
Short but dense, like me.
Yeah.
I think it might be about sort of the same length and same text brain font size, that's the one, as Frankenstein, and I think that took me 5 parts. So
yeah, I think as well because of how unreliable I've been with like regularly every Saturday reading and stuff like that there's probably going to be a few that I skip, so it might again sort of
I mean, it's only really been this month, I guess, and a bit of end of last month.
Yeah, I guess when it's only one a week, if you miss one, it feels like a lot. But yeah.
Count of Monte Cristo does indeed feel like it's gone on forever.
Because it has.
We started it in January. It was must have been the first stream of the year, possibly. Is Les Mis public domain? Yes, Les Mis is public domain. No, I'm not doing it. Absolutely not. See, Count of Monte Cristo is a story that keeps on going. Les Mis breaks for like a whole massive section of it to talk about the bloody French sewer system. It's basically Moby Dick, but about the French Revolution. A French Revolution. There's a reason you didn't ask. It's just flipping Hugo going, I don't know why he's obsessed with the sewer system. Well, again, his whale.
I don't know.
Crazy.
I don't know how true this is, but I remembered reading a while ago, specifically referring to Moby Dick, but I think it was generally talking about other books from the same era. That because a lot of people didn't have access to like education, like encyclopedias and that sort of information, what a lot of authors did was put that into their books. So Moby Dick has lots and lots about fishing and whaling and all that kind of stuff. Not necessarily because Melville thought it was interesting,
but also Melville.
Probably, I know nothing about the guy and his tastes. But it's there to inform and educate the reader, and I feel like that's probably what happened in a lot of these things, like 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea and other such things. But it's like, you are going to get some knowledge. You're going to enjoy this story,
facts,
but also you're going to get some knowledge about the sea and maths and physics and volumes and things like that. And
class, are you listening?
And H.G. Wells talking about the home counties in excruciating detail about where all the towns are and but I kind of love
I
it.
feel like that's just Wells going, look, I know this place. This is like I know this area. This is where I'm from, kind of thing. It's like kind of desperately trying to put himself into it, I think. I don't know, that's what I feel like from him.
I just want to get. Is it Herbert? Was he Herbert Wells? Herbert George Wells. Yeah, I was going to be like,
Herbert
Herbert,
Wells, yeah.
did you happen to have a map of the home counties on your desk while you were writing this story? Like,
Woking.
no, and hides it, shoves it under book, shoves it under other map. No, not at all. Shut up. Like,
Don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, but yeah, I just love that it's set in the summer and he's endlessly describing like the sunset and the weather and the light and stuff like that. I actually like, unironically, I love that. It's really, really nice. And
it gives it it's, especially with because it's sci-fi, and because it's about a flipping Martian invasion, it kind of grounds it as well. It's like it makes it more real, and it makes it more about the fact that this is happening here. This is happening in a place that he knows, and other people, like people reading the books would would know, and it just makes it more real.
And again, thinking like on adaptations, because that's going to be my one talking point, like comparing it to adaptations. I
haven't seen any.
I'm trying to think now what older ones I've seen and what they were like, because again, the Spielberg one, I like. It's War of the Worlds, it's Mars invading Earth, but I like that the Spielberg Tom Cruise one is told basically from Tom Cruise as the protagonist perspective. It is very much him. It's not like stuff going on here and there and whatever. It's like if his character doesn't encounter it or encounter news of it, it's not mentioned. And I appreciate that actually that's very true to the book, that it's from the perspective of the narrator and the narrator's cousin, and all you hear about is things that they encounter or things that they've heard about then or since. And I like that. Again, it's almost like Cloverfield as well. It's like it is told from a very, very narrow, very specific, very personal perspective on this grand scale thing happening, which also feels just common to a lot of the works that we've read so far from that era. That like I feel like most of the things that we've read, if not all, are all told from a very personal perspective. It's not like John went to do this and then Susan went over there, and in like the next chapter, here's Philip who is in another town doing these things.
Apart from the Count of Monte Cristo.
Well, yes.
Which is everyone.
But that's because Monte Cristo is... Well, because Dumas is playing about 7 different characters, so
pretty much, that's true.
It's all still from his perspective. He's just a lot of different perspectives within the story, but like there's a lot. It felt like, so far it's with what we've been doing on this channel, with what we've been reading. It's it feels like kind of pulling the perspective back a bit further from like kind of grounding the camera with a single person, and actually stepping back and just telling a wider story of events happening, and then zooming into like individual perspectives within that. It feels like that's not happened that much, and I don't know whether like when in fiction that started becoming more of a thing, because I found that kind of, as someone who's primarily read stuff written more from, I guess, golden era sci-fi, like 50s, 60s, 70s and onwards, and more modern fiction from then on. It's still like told from individual perspectives, but there's a lot more just kind of world and story being told in those things, whereas so much that I've read, at least, it feels like it's told from one position, and it's like
I'm curious as to whether that's because of films. Because obviously a lot of the stuff we read is classic fiction. It's been adapted, or most of them we've read have been turned into a film some way or other. And obviously with filmmaking, you find often that directors want to give a sense of scale. They have to visually put the watcher, the audience, whatever, in a place, and you have to say, so this is all what's kind of going on, and now we follow this one person,
Yeah.
but also remember all of this stuff that's going on. So I feel like that might be something that fiction has kind of taken on as a
Yeah.
result of them thinking, how will this sort of translate well to film? Because especially I imagine with sci-fi, because and fantasy actually,
Yeah.
because of course we have the blockbusters, we have the big, like, Lord of the Rings obviously is the prime example fantasy wise, and yeah, and Star Wars, Star Trek, we have these big examples of, again, camera zooming out, camera showing the world,
Yeah.
and these not even necessarily the authors of the like original books. There's a moth in my background, I've just seen. Doing a lot of world building. Obviously Tolkien did, that was Tolkien's whole thing.
Yeah.
But then like their works, or just direct, or just film screenwriters just coming up with a thing that's not necessarily a book in the first place.
Yeah.
Just that seems to have informed how people then think about writing.
Yeah.
They think about it being turned into a film before they actually think about turning it into a story. And
Yeah.
this is something I've definitely come across in reading fantasy books. As someone who has written fantasy and is writing fantasy, I do not like the fact that, and it's interesting doing research into like submitting books and things like that, because what people are looking for is something that could possibly be a blockbuster film, and all the tropes are there. Like, we've got dragons, we've got armies, we've got big evil person or army, and then good people, and then clashing, and big battles, and it's all, yeah, it's all the same, and it's all in order to sell rights basically, and try and get this big blockbuster film. And I think that kind of grandiose, I want to make this as big as possible approach to writing, I don't know, but again, we're talking about specific genres here. I would say more so fantasy and sci-fi, but also I think probably like drama, maybe not crime. Crime tends to be a bit more kind of like small and personal, I guess, but just fiction in general. It's really interesting to see that I think it's just a perception thing, because I think a lot of people think that classic fiction is big and it's broad, and it's not, because people didn't have access to massive films.
Yeah.
They didn't have access to the world as we do now, so everything was a lot more personal.
Yeah, like, well, as you've been talking, I've been starting to make notes, because like, oh, I want to talk about this, and then I want to talk about this.
Go.
No, that's fine. I was going to say, like, yeah. Firstly, on that point, I'm trying to think actually how many.
We don't have a lurk command.
Oh, we don't.
I thought we did.
We should do that.
We have a lurk emote.
We do.
Sorry.
That's okay. How many? I'm trying to now think. Yeah, how many of the stories that both of us have read have been set either present day to when it was written, or recent history, or very near future, and effectively to the point where you don't actually have to do much, if any, world building, because you can basically say it. You know, you're writing in 1890 and you set the story in 1890, and so everyone goes, okay, I know where we're at.
Yeah,
you don't need to describe the world. You don't need to say, and here is what was going. Or you say it's set, or like Moonfleet, you said it like 100 years in the past, and everyone just kind of goes, all right, they were using ships and flintlocks. That's cool. Let's just get on with it. And you don't need to actually build the world at all, because you just say that, and people kind of have a rough idea and just infer that. Whereas, yeah, if I don't know, if you're doing, you know, in modern fiction, you have a lot more, I guess, a lot more scope with genre and genre boundaries. And so if you're writing like a modern horror fantasy thing, or sci-fi or whatever, then you need to establish more rules and like give the reader more of an understanding of how the world works and how all the pieces fit together, so that you can then play with those rules. So yeah, maybe that's the thing. The other thing I was going to say was just where you're talking about film and cinema, and how that might have created kind of a bit of a feedback with fiction, and as as films started to present, like literally visually, a wider perspective, authors of fiction have probably also taken that on and like realized that they can start moving the camera. It kind of, that was just making me think of literally camera technology with films, where a lot of the old films were just a static camera because we didn't have the technology to move it. They were big, heavy things. You couldn't move them, so the best you could do would be like everyone, like, because I don't want to do the thing that everyone does when talking about cameras to show that they don't know what they're talking about when they just go a panning shot. And what's this? It's a panning shot. And what's this? It's a panning shot. It's a pan. I call everything a panning shot. It's not.
This is a shot of pans.
That's Bottom, starring Adrian Emerson and Rick Mayall. Just bang,
yes,
bang,
yes,
bang.
yes.
The just actually literally. I mean, a tracking shot, whatever, is like the kind where you actually have like a basically a little train track down and you move the camera along it. That kind of technology, kind of. I'm trying to think if that was. No, if I start talking about it, I'm going to get it completely wrong, and any actual film buffs in chat will call me out. But hey, it's engagement. When you start getting into
more about this than I do.
I mean, all I can really think of is like golden age cinema, where you had like the whole Technicolor thing, because literally we can now make films in color, so just go for it, just put color everywhere, and that's where you get like Singing in the Rain and stuff like that, where it's just color, sound, just go berserk.
Great.
And through those kind of eras, you had advances in camera technology where you could actually move the camera and not just keep it in one static location or turn it a bit, but actually like crane it or track it through a shot or do all these different things. And again, that's probably the kind of thing that's informed fiction in general and literature, as you start moving this perspective and giving physically within the world different angles to look at things, and maybe that kind of helped inform authors to be like, oh yeah, we can people understand that now. And again, it's going to be a bit of I don't know if I want to the word that jumps into my head because I want to use the big words is semiotics. It's not exactly that. That's like the language of storytelling and the language of like filmmaking and stuff. But it's going to be again a bit of that, in that if you, I'm trying to think how to organize this sentence.
With words, that usually helps.
Yeah, you need the audience to be able to understand what you're communicating before you can communicate it.
Yeah.
Okay, good. So if you start doing what is like, for the time, advanced high-level storytelling and narrative stuff, and jumping around to different perspectives and telling like multiple stranded stories within this world, if people aren't prepared for that and aren't familiar with what you're doing, it's not going to make any sense. And so you kind of need to build up to that. And so you need like that understanding for people to be able to actually grasp it and realize it. So it isn't me saying like, authors just didn't know until someone told them to do it. It's probable that a lot of authors are like, I wish I could tell the story, but no one will understand, or had drafts that they submitted to publishers who are like, I don't know what you're talking about, mate, this doesn't make any sense, could you just give me some more dragons? So there's probably again going to be stuff like that where when you it kind of going back and forth between different mediums and like informing each other, you'll have we want to kind of push in this sort of direction. I've got this like Monte Cristo, I want to tell this exciting story from multiple perspectives on different characters or doing the things, and it's like, people are going to get that, and it works, and people go, that's an interesting idea, we can play with that some more and expand on that, and you kind of build up this language of understanding. And semiotics as it relates to films is like, just a simple basic one, like you shoot someone angled down from a high, so like they're kind of walking towards the camera, and you take a camera high up and you angle it down on them to make them look like a bad guy. So to make them look like a good guy. It's low down and angled up. I'm just thinking of like the classic Die Hard, like Hans Gruber establishing shot. Alan Rickman, you need people to know he's a bad guy, so what do? You just have him like walking forward, looking stern with the camera low down, filming up in his face. He looks intimidating, he looks imposing. you register this as, oh, this man's a bad man, we shouldn't trust him, even if he's like being nice and Alan Rickman and suave and charming and that. Like, it's like, no, he's a bad guy. But without these rules kind of established in the mind of the viewer, it's not going to register as easily. And so you kind of have to go back and forth and all that sort of stuff.
And also, sorry,
no, so I was just looking. I think have I covered everything? Oh, actually, no. Yeah, sorry. Just no.
That's more.
Yeah, sorry. With you talking about specifically like film adaptations of works, and how like in the mind of publishers, we want something that could be adapted. So could you give us a bit more of this stuff that really tests well with cinema audiences? And
we want
Netflix,
something that sells.
Exactly. Something that Netflix or HBO are going to like pick up for an adaptation if you could. There's been a story that I saw the other day, which so I mean, what the details I remember were something along the lines of Netflix. No, who is it? I think it's Netflix. Adapting a like, I want to say £200 million budget thing starring like Henry Cavill or something, and it's an adaptation of a supposedly like a best-selling work, but we know the name of the author, but no one knows who the author is. It's like if you search the name, you do not find the person who wrote this book. You just find like a couple of randos who are very clearly not the author. And so,
is it, what genre?
I don't remember.
Oh, okay.
I could, when I've done talking about it, I can go and look up the tweet where I saw it. But basically, it's like this supposedly very popular best-selling work is being adapted for like a big value, getting a big expensive premium adaptation with an all-star cast, and no one knows who the author is. Ooh, mysterious. And now that could be legit, that could be genuine. It could be
Must be a pen name.
That's it. That's a speculation. Like, it could be a pen name. It could be that kind of the people involved aren't entirely certain how successful it's going to be, and so they're kind of keeping a bit of distance between themselves. Or it could be an author with a bad reputation, thinking of Galbraith. Where you kind of, they've got a different name so that the actual name and reputation of the author is distanced from the project. And so they can still just go ahead and do it. Or the conspiracy theory, and I don't like conspiracy theory. They're fun, but they're dangerous. But it's not entirely too far-fetched for me, is that it's a marketing stunt. It's that you go, ooh, a mysterious author that no one knows. And basically, you've just kind of churned out this script. It's a sort of, is it Bird Box or whatever? Because like Netflix, when the Sandra Bullock Bird Box thing, where it's like everyone's got to wear blindfolds, and you just create some like, oh, mysterious, exciting imagery. Why is she wearing a blindfold? It's because you can't look at things. And then the whole like, teens on TikTok or whatever on Vine are doing the Bird Box challenge where they blindfold themselves and drive down the road. Like, no, they're not. You've made this up. You've made this up to create like a cultural phenomenon. And then people go, oh, teens are doing the Bird Box challenge. It's so dangerous and reckless. They shouldn't be doing this. And no one's actually doing it. But you do that. And then it generates hype and publicity, and people go watch your film. And you make money off the people watching your film, even if it's bad. And so that's like, it is entirely plausible to me that this is just a script that they've thrown together, and they've just attached some money and some actors to it. And they've gone, it's going to sell better if people think it's adapted from a popular work. Then we don't have to go to the work of creating some kind of cultural cachet that it's like it's a prestigious work that people really care about and want to go and see. Anything could be a New York Times bestseller. Like again, that's been recent conversation where it's like bestseller list doesn't really mean anything.
No.
When was it the bestseller? For how long? How much money did it actually make? And what other books was it in competition with? Because a lot of books have been a New York Times bestseller that were not very good. And so, like, you can do that quite easily enough, and then suddenly you've got this whole thing where people go, oh, well, it's adapted from a best-selling book, and it's got all this money, and it's from a mysterious author, so it's got to be great. And you watch it and you go, right. So they'll just be with you talking about adaptations and adapted works and stuff like that. It's like, is this the next stage where basically you're it's not even an actual. You're just lying about the provenance of the work to get past that first hurdle of people thinking that it's worth their time to go and see. You just go, it's worth your time, and people go, all right, I'll check it out. I'm now going to go look it up. So that's all my talking points for what you were saying.
Cool. No, I was going to say also that on sort of the a more sort of first person, just following one character thing, and the fact that seems to have changed over the years. Like, one thing with, again, in regards to film, is with the rise of film and stuff, people were seeing things that they would never otherwise see. So their worlds were being expanded just by watching films, and I'm not even saying like fiction films. I'm talking about like documentaries and stuff like that. And I'm going to show you around this factory and things like that. Like, suddenly, because we're so sort of visually stimulated, we tend to like looking at things. This the whole thing with social media. You're scrolling through, your eyes are engaged, therefore your mind either shuts down or is also engaged. So having something to latch onto visually obviously then helps authors expand worlds, have more ideas about a larger lens, as it were. But also the whole, I just thought about it, the whole kind of following one character. A lot of these stories that we've been reading and are going to read were sort of published as episopeople.
Yes,
they were published in newspapers. Dickens, obviously, prime example. So it's way easier to follow one character. It's way easier to go, last time on this character did this, rather than last time on this character did this, but this character also did this, and then this person who's sort of related to this character did something completely different.
No, that's a good point, actually. Which, again, sort of reading, when you think about that, again, some of the stuff that I've been reading, it's sort of like War of the Worlds and that lot, where yes, it feels like an account, like a journalistic account of things happening. Like,
and we know how much old authors liked their like letters and correspondence and accounts and journals and stuff.
Hey, Dracula, what's up? What's good? Yeah. So yes, I've now found the thing, the tweet talking about it. Yeah, mystery enshrouds author behind Henry Cavill's spy thriller Argylle. The upcoming book, soon an Apple Plus feature. So yeah, not Netflix, Apple Plus. Also starring Dua Lipa and Ariana DeBose, is in a reported $200 million deal. Is by Ellie Conway, a first-time writer proving to be elusive. According to Conway's 2-line bio, she lives in the United States and is currently working on the next installment in the series. Beyond that, however, there exists virtually no information about Conway. Internet searches of her name turn up only references to a fictional character on the long-running Australian soap opera Neighbours. Adding to the mystery, an alternate spelling of her name, Ellie Conway, appears elsewhere on the Penguin Random House website and in news reports on the rights deal. So, it's...
Oh, I really hope it's like a Wattpad novel. That'd be great.
I don't know what that is.
Basically fan fiction.
Oh, right.
Like,
yeah,
there have been a lot. We're talking about, I think 50 Shades of Grey was originally that, from that site. I can't remember.
No.
Basically,
right.
There's a lot of Wattpad self-insert fan fiction, precisely. I reckon either it's I reckon. Well, I mean, in order to get published, you have to know your agent, your publisher has to know your real name, really, or you use your pen name from the very start. And if you're using a pen name from the very start, you can choose to have absolutely no information about that pen name whatsoever. So you keep your private life completely separate, which might just be what she's doing, which, quite frankly, sensible thing to do. Especially if you're a female author. Especially if you're a female author writing crime. Val McDermid might have something to say about that. Agatha Christie might have something to say about that. But even then, or like fame that comes off the back of something suddenly being turned into a TV series or film is not necessarily the greatest thing for authors. 50 Shades wasn't on Wattpad, but it was a Twilight fanfiction. Oh, my bad. I thought it was. What? There was one that was. Oh, I don't know. Oh, wasn't it like the After films that was also like a Twilight or a 50 Shades? I don't even know. There have been so many films that it. There we go. It was the After films that I have only heard of from people saying that they are just a steaming pile of. Oh, it was fanfiction of One Direction.
Oh.
Oh no. Oh boy.
Again, the
Wow.
caveat: there is no judgment or shade towards
there is
fan
some
fiction.
really good fan fiction.
Yeah,
yes,
absolutely. And like
this just happens to be crap.
Yeah, I want to put that out there because obviously, like fan fiction tends to be this was like bad fanfic.
Great.
Is like just the default go to for something bad. It's like
Yeah.
no shade on fan fiction. Write it, enjoy it, fill your boots. Right, that's absolutely that is the message. But bad fan fiction does still exist, and yeah.
You're a consumer of YouTube video about disaster movies. It's not like the channel Amanda the Jedi, is it? Because she is fantastic and rates. I just watch her rating movies that I've never seen and rating movies that I have seen and going, yes, I agree with you. You're wonderful. Yes, exactly. There we go. Nice. She has very good opinions about films and like goes really quite in depth as well, which is good. No. But fanfic. I mean, especially as well, like obviously, like we sort of are fairly like video gaming centric, and there's a heck of a lot of really good fan fiction around video games. So yeah. Also, Harper is saying, I wonder how much of that is our Europe centric way of telling stories. Yes.
Yeah.
Not least because there are other cultures that deal with time differently. So stories don't necessarily always have to follow the very linear beginning, middle, and end.
Yeah.
Very sort of Western way of telling things, or they don't deal with this sort of, in general, kind of short time. Yeah. Short sort of spans of time that a lot of. I was waiting for her to cover the 365 books and films. Oh boy. Yeah, I've watched her videos on them. What is wrong with people? Why do people keep on making these films about really awful relationships? Basically, guy kidnaps girl, says, you have a year to fall in love with me. It's like, no, that's a crime. No.
This sounds like...
And of course they fall in love. They don't fall in love.
This sounds like that.
It's a flipping Stockholm syndrome situation.
And that weird TikTok trend that I sent you the other week of like, it was like just like a whole thread of, I'm gonna say borderline psychotic videos of guys being like, it's that kind of like, you're the girlfriend talking to me, your boyfriend thing.
God,
it's like this sort of conversation, and it's guys being like really abusive to the camera and stuff, like they're being abusive to the girlfriend, and they're like, I'm sorry, babe, and stuff like that, and it's like, what? I'm pushing 40. I'm starting to hit the point where like the clocks on the VCR are flashing 0 for me. I am starting to hit points where I'm out of my depth and things don't make sense. But that really doesn't make sense to me, and it's like
going senile already.
Yeah, I'm worried, and it's like I don't know. You don't think there'll be a point where you're out of touch, and then you find it, and it's horrifying. And that's where I start to go like, I don't.
It's not even out of touch. It's just a little bit worrying as to the future of sort of younger generations' relationships. When we've had movies like, I mean, the thing was like, for example, we're not talking about books now. We're talking about other stuff.
Yeah. That's why I'm not calling it book club.
Yeah. The thing with, we'll have to come up with another name for it. Maybe we should just call it Chilliteratea. Because we've thought about that before.
Yeah.
Maybe. We'd have to have tea. I've just got an empty glass.
I've got water and a tea strainer.
Yeah, mine was water. And there is none left. Younger generations having a blast tearing those apart as well. Okay, good.
Okay, good, yeah.
Good. Thank God. Because I'm genuinely worried because obviously, 50 Shades of Grey came out, and some people were just like, oh my God, it's a romantic movie, blah, blah, blah. And then everyone else was like, what is this?
Yeah.
Why is this? This is awful.
Yeah.
And because it made lots of money, film studios and TV studios go, oh, great, we'll just do more of the same. But the problem is, this keeps on like being churned out. The younger generations are going to see this and go, that's a normal relationship. That's cool. I'm going to say I'm going to do awful things to other people and expect them to fall in love with me.
Yeah.
And it's like,
we've already had a lot of that in society. Just harass someone endlessly and she'll fall in love with you, man.
Yeah.
Any film from the 70s, 80s, 90s, noughties.
Yeah.
Just keep telling her that you love her, and eventually she'll realise that she does actually love you too.
Yeah, that's how it works. It's just a little bit concerning, because I feel like we've been trying so hard to move away from that, and now it feels like we're swinging back that way.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know.
Have a cat for a bit. Hello. Okay, goodbye.
Oh.
Yeah. You done?
Did not want camera. Did not want camera.
No, but he was sitting up, so he was already kind of on his way.
It looked like he was sort of going, do I pat you? No, I'm going now.
He was in the middle of washing.
Oh, was he? Oh, right. That was like the port was up.
Yeah.
Oh, Harper's has cat on lap as well.
Oh,
purring.
good.
Excellent.
Nice.
Good. I'm very glad.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's...
Fiction's weird.
Fiction is...
And again, I feel like it's kind of loops back round to the topic we started on of not everything said or done by a character within a work should be attributed positively to the views of the author. Like a character in a book being abusive, being like dangerous and threatening shouldn't be like, oh, the author thinks this is fine. But there are also examples, like in 50 Shades of Grey, where it's done uncritically. Like everyone's just kind of fine with this in the end, and as far as I'm aware, like it's presented as a twisted, dark, but still romantic love story for people to enjoy and not go, ooh, that's dangerous. I'll try to avoid that. Thanks for the warning signs. It's like, I should get me a Christian Grey, someone who's a little bit dangerous but ultimately loves me. Like, no, that's... Again, not having read it.
Walking red flag.
Yeah, like not having read it, but my best understanding from the interpretations I've seen is he's a dangerous walking red flag. He is someone who you should be far away from, not considering that maybe you love this man after all. And like that, that's the example of that kind of thing where you can criticize it and be like, maybe don't.
Yeah, but also something sort of on that I'm always interested by is the whole kind of making villains or villainous characters, making bad characters. Like, if you want to make a believable villain, you have to make them a person. You have to make them a reason to be bad. You have to, basically, most of the time, human beings want to do good.
Yeah.
Most of the time they want to do good, and sometimes they twist things
so that they're doing good.
Yeah, exactly. So their idea of doing things that are good is not actually doing things. Dr. Horrible's sing-along blog. Yes. Wonderful. Yeah. I have not seen that in ages. I now need to watch it again.
Yeah.
But the problem I find with that, especially in films,
I could stop the world.
Yep. Now I've lost my train of thought. Yes, the problem with that. Stop singing. The problem with that is that, especially in films, I think you have people tend to conflate the kind of the anti-hero character and the vigilante kind of character with the villain, and making the villain, the person who is doing bad things, making them have fears, have insecurities, making you genuinely pity them sometimes, does not mean that they are either savable, which is another big problem with especially like well, I was going to say rom-coms, no, but just, like romantic films that we are passing off as romantic, which really aren't. It's like, this idea of the bad boy who the woman saves. It's always the woman saving the bad boy. But yeah, like that, and again, things vigilantes like Batman and stuff like that. It's like that's not the same thing as someone who is doing abhorrent things and justifying them in their own mind. And they're not going to stop doing those things, even though the reason they do those things is because they have been hurt in the past. And I find that quite interesting, especially writing that. If you write a character who you're just so desperate that someone who reads this isn't going to think that you like this character, or that you want your audience to pity and like this character and think that they are worth saving, or think that they are going to change and stuff like that, because that's worrying, especially for a writer, because then you do get into the problem of people going, oh well, you made this character have good traits, some, therefore you must agree with some of the things that they're doing. It's like, no, they're just these are just human things. These are just reasons. You can't just have someone doing bad things just for the sake of doing bad things. That is the most 2D villain ever. And I mean, usually James Bond villain ever. Yes, so long as they have a facial disfigurement as well. Therefore, they must be the bad guy.
Yeah, that's how you know.
But yeah, it's like this kind of this kind of balance between signaling to your audience, this is obviously films or books, signaling to your audience that this is not someone you want to root for, but also giving them a compelling reason to do what they are doing, and giving them some ounce of humanity, because often the most compelling, well, not even the most compelling villains, but the worst villains, like the most awful villains, are the people who have gone, what I'm doing is bad. What I'm doing is wrong. I gotta do it.
Time to double down.
Yeah, basically, it's like the only way I can.
Fallacy, like, well, I'm invested in this now, so I know it's bad, but I kind of got to push through.
Either that, or they are so far along that they're like, the only way I can get what I want out of this, the only way I can feel whole, or the only way I can feel like I've achieved something is by just bulldozing through this. I've come so far. I have to do this for me, or else I'm going to self-destruct. But it's just, it's like that choice of just suddenly seeing, like, I have humanity. I can sense this in myself. I can sense there is a part of me that does not want to do this. I'm going to push that down. That's the moment you're just like, okay, this is big alarm bells. This is a bad person.
Yeah.
But the fact that you make that character have that moment is always a bit of a moment, because then you're just like, oh wait, are my readers going to think, oh, so they could have chosen differently, and so they do have that humanity, that they're okay really inside. It's like, no, they have deliberately chosen to go away from that. This is bad. Don't follow this example, kind of thing. It's like,
not to be that guy, but I really need you to read Watchmen, because I think you would enjoy it.
Yeah, I know, it's on the list.
But yeah, Magneto syndrome, and I'm saying it like that. Yes. Yeah, you're trying to murder and subjugate folks, but he has his reasons. And also, hey, how you doing, buddy? Yeah. It's like, that's the thing. Ultimately, everyone is the protagonist of their own story. Everyone sees themselves as life's protagonist, and so, like, fundamentally, people's actions will always be determined by what they think is right, and pretty much for the most part, everyone, good or bad, will be doing what they think is right.
Yeah.
For some justification, valid or twisted, like. And you need to get that across. And I feel like, having a villain who's just like, well, I just want to kill everyone. Why? Because I think people should be dead. It's like, okay, well, I guess you're the bad guy, but I'm not really with it. Because very few people really think that killing everyone is a justified way to achieve any measurable goal other than having a lot of people dead. And so, you either need a cause that is, like, worth that kind of outcome, or you need different stakes and a different goal that they're trying to accomplish. It's why, I mean, I think it's both why a lot of people loved Thanos as a villain, going for Marvel of all places for a villain. People liked it because his goal was balance, and like it's what we're doing is unsustainable, and so we need a balanced outcome. But for me, I still okay, sure, good, yeah, things, you can see that things as they are progressing aren't sustainable and do need work and do need to be rebalanced. Okay, good, I'm on board. What's your method for this? We're gonna kill half of the population of the galaxy. No,
that might need some work.
No, okay, look, let's just, I know you've got ultimate power here. Can we not think up a different solution to this? And that's where I'm like, if only he'd gone for something a bit different. And I know it's
if
like,
only he'd had a committee.
Yeah. And that's where it feels like the Marvelification of things. Like, and I know that's the comics, that's the storybook, and that's what he does, and that's what he did, and you can't change that, otherwise fans will riot. But it's like, that's why I'm not like, he's such a good villain, because it's like, okay, I'm with you, because he has a goal, and ultimately it is kind of a noble goal. But yeah, like I agree with, I can't remember who it was that said it now, probably multiple authors over years, but it's like you should, like, the plan and the end goal of your villain, you should write it and work on it until it almost makes sense to you, is kind of where I agree. If you want a relatable, humanized villain, if you want someone that people look at and go, oh, I can see how this would work.
Yeah.
Like, not, you're going to start scratching things. Stop scratching.
Oh dear. You've got to convince yourself.
Yeah. And that's why, for me, a lot of Bond villains kind of fall flat, because it's like, Mr. Bond, I wish to get very, very rich and kill a lot of people. Well, these are bad things, and yes, things that should be stopped, but I'm not really sure why you're doing it, because that's just going to attract a lot of heat for you. And real villains, real life villains, don't do that. Real life villains own companies and make people work long hours for less pay and have just serve themselves, just act selfishly and serve themselves, because they've convinced themselves that this is right, and they've done that because they've convinced themselves that they're superior or they deserve this way of life when others don't. But that's their justification. They still believe they're doing the right thing. Okay, everyone believes they're doing the right thing, otherwise they would be doing something different. And there's a certain amount of, well, I know what the right thing is, but I also can't be bothered today. Like, I should clean the bathroom, but I can't be bothered, so I'm not going to. The right thing is to do the thing, but I can't be bothered. But that's the justification. So it's like, I'm tired, I'll do it tomorrow, and stuff like that. But ultimately, people still act in a way that, like, what I'm doing is right and correct, otherwise I wouldn't do it. I would be doing the right and correct thing. So you need, a good, convincing villain is someone who is still doing that. And
it's interesting to write, because obviously when you're writing a villain, when you're writing someone that you as a writer know is going to do an awful thing or awful things, and you don't think that's right, and you're like, well, this story needs to be told. How? But I don't like this character. I don't want this character to win. I don't want this character to get their end goal. But you have to. Obviously, it sort of depends on how you write it as well. Because if you're writing from like third person or something, or if you're writing sort of, this person did this and then this person did this kind of thing, it's a bit different. But speaking of someone who has written from first person perspective, you absolutely have to convince yourself 100%, especially like when you're writing this character, this is what's going to happen. This is right. This is I wholeheartedly believe this as this character, which is bloody draining. Like like when if you have to write stuff that you don't like on a human level, you're like, no, no, can I just rewrite my whole story here? But that the story, that like the way things progress and the way people react to things, the way people like come back from things, all of
Yeah.
that kind of stuff. It's important that, I mean, it's important in any story, just the way that stories tend to be written. There is some conflict of some description.
Yeah.
There is something to be
You need
sort
friction.
of got over.
Yeah.
Exactly. You need something, some kind of, not necessarily hardship, but something that needs to be, it's like a mountain that needs to be climbed to get over to the other side. So the bad thing usually needs to happen. So you have to steel yourself to write said bad thing, and you have to write it in a way that doesn't feel like you're just going, okay, bad thing has to happen. Okay, sorry guys, like bad things happen. Okay, let's carry on with the good people. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you do have to go through the unpleasant process of completely convincing yourself that the villain is in the right, which is hard.
I like the attitude that basically if you tell a story from one perspective and you have the heroes, the good guys, the people that you're following, the protagonists, and then the villains, the people working against them with whom they clash. I get my hands in shot. So you've got like the good side and the bad side, and they clash in the middle. And that's because you're telling it from this perspective. And illustration. I respect the idea. I like the idea that basically if you've got a good story and a good villain, if you can change the perspective and tell it from the villain's perspective, and suddenly they're the good person because they have their own goals and their own ends and their own things that they're trying to accomplish, and suddenly the protagonist who you've been rooting for is trying to stop that. And that to me is like the best kind of balanced story. That's like, So you're seeing the comment about Killmonger from Black Panther. It's been a while since I've watched Black Panther, but yes, I think I agree that it's like okay, great, completely valid point. All these things. Oh, you want to kill everybody. I get it. And we go, oh well, they've been so twisted by their experiences, and they're just they're evil now and they're mad and so, whatever, mental health and madness and stuff. So they did kill everyone. Yeah, okay. Anyway, like, no. Come on, walk it back a little bit. Like just keep on that justification. Actually, make a nuanced, interesting, engaging character. And
but and the thing that I
was that my internet or is that your internet? I'm not
particularly like with.
Oh, okay. You've just.
It was mine.
Discord's just gone a little bit wonky.
It was mine.
Okay, you're back. Hello.
Yeah, it should be back now.
Hey, Andy, welcome.
My internet went red. Hey, Andy. Hope you're well. Yes, hope you're well. We'll get there.
Mm-hmm.
But no, like talking about the whole perspective thing. The thing that I particularly like exploring with like shifting the perspective is obviously, if you're writing from the bad perspective. And we're thinking that obviously this person thinks that they are the protagonist. They think that they're the good guy, and the good people are the bad guys. But the most interesting thing is they think the villain thinks what they're doing is right due to doing is right, and these people are kind of against them. But what they think is they think what they're doing is right because of something else, like usually some kind of overarching societal injustice. So they are, again, made the villain basically by society and by the way that they have been treated by society, or the way that's always quite an interesting. That's, to be fair, that's usually a villain origin story. Is like, oh well, I was shunned as a child, or I was bullied as a child, for a very mild example, and because I don't look the same as other people, or I don't do the same things or whatever.
I walked with a limp when they bullied me, so now that I am king, I shall kill everybody.
Yes, I will kill everybody who walked normally.
No, you took the wrong lesson from Game of Thrones. Which I want to talk about in a sec.
Oh no. So like you have to understand obviously the villain's reasoning, but you also have to understand what makes them usually bitter, or what makes them want to be striving towards this goal in the first place. And usually it is because they have had some kind of villainy, and if we're just going villain equals bad, something bad happened to them. And
well, I was bullied as a child, and you're reading it going, well, I was bullied as a child. I don't want to kill everybody.
Exactly.
What's the difference here?
Exactly.
Yeah.
But if you put in like structures that are like objectively bad structures, for example, like, I don't know, slavery. Then it's like, okay, right, cool, bad, this has been bad for you, but also this is not the way to combat that and stuff. But again, that's just adding nuance to a character, and sometimes can be a difficult line to toe that you don't, especially, again, just using, for example, the example of slavery there, just for example, that you're not saying, oh, well, what they're doing is bad because like people who were enslaved should feel fine about it now, or something like that. Like, you have to be very, very careful with how you sort of how you put the layers in, and how you deal with the person dealing with that. And like, I just find it really, really interesting. Villains are a fascinating thing to write, because no one thinks of themselves as the villain. And when they do, they either go, okay, I'm leaning into this, or they go in full denial and end up doing worse things because of that.
And like, well,
Sorry, Game of Thrones.
No, that's fine. That's fine. Yeah, just like, well, firstly, I've not been watching House of the Dragon so I don't know what that's like. I've seen, again, the expected, it's so boring, it sucks, and then as it's gone on, we get into a couple of episodes and the storylines start to be established and drawn out. People going, oh, it's actually kind of cool. I'm enjoying this now. So I'm ignoring kind of all that hype and anti-hype and just clickbait, tweetbait nonsense. But back to, again, I'm aware of the irony that I'm talking about the TV show because I've not read the books, and this is a book reading stream. But like, what I appreciated certainly about the earlier seasons of the TV show, I say as someone who enjoyed it up until the end. I'm not like, oh, it sucked. Why do they ruin it? It's ruined my life when they made the season end and that way. Like, I feel like the lesson that everyone fails to learn in other things that followed it up and tried to be like, oh, it's like Game of Thrones. Why is that? Because everyone dies. It's not. It's not the lesson. The lesson is everyone's kind of a really interesting character with their own motivations and reasons for doing what they do. Some of them are quite twisted and corrupted. And it's like, oh, Joffrey is just such a nasty kid, isn't he? Yes, but you can see why he's a nasty kid. Because he was raised by a negligent parent and a mum who, it's like you've had the Disney fairy tale wedding of, oh, the handsome, strong, powerful king has fought and beaten the evil, tyrannical ruler, and he's married his perfect bride, and they should live happily ever after, except they didn't, because actually he's kind of an asshole, and she's
having an affair with her brother.
And well, he's an arsehole, he's a womanizer, and so he's like he's mistreated her, and so she's come into this, oh, it's a perfect marriage, it's going to be so great and so lovely. Oh, actually, like, and that sort of disillusionment of all that, and she's been, and it's like, oh, well, Cersei's mean. Yes, but you can see why she's like this, because she again has had her own ideals and views and motivations, and they've been twisted and corrupted by the circumstances that she's found herself in, and those have been from the two parents and everything around them passed on to a child, and this child has ultimate absolute power. He is unchecked power and is utterly corrupted by both parents and the terrible upbringing from both parents. And so and it's not just that, oh, he's a spoiled brat of a child. It's like, yeah, but he's a villain, but you can see why he's like this. You don't like him, but you can absolutely see why Joffrey is just this monster of a kid. And again, there are different perspectives you can tell that story from, where the Starks are actually kind of the jerks and keep getting in the way of people trying to do better and better by themselves. And it's that's sort of plotting and storytelling and character development takes a lot of work and effort. So what the lesson,
and shameless stealing from the Wars of the Roses.
Well, there is also that but I mean, it's not like it's copyrighted, so
no. George R. R. Martin is an interesting one for me, because I've read the first book and I don't particularly like his writing style. I find it a bit too dry for my liking, but I can totally understand why people do, because he writes politics very, very well. He writes politics incredibly, incredibly well. He he understands the whole tangled web and all of that.
Yeah.
That's not really my jam, so I'm not a massive fan. And also, right out of the bat, I hated every single character. And again, I don't know that was just because of his writing style or the way he wrote things, or whether that was just because of the kind of setting, maybe. But I feel like, and again, it might have also just been because it was the first book, and obviously things develop and characters develop and everything.
Yeah.
But just, it felt like he was very sort of, not desperate, that's not the right word, but he really wanted to paint a picture that nothing was great. Everything was a bit, no one's particularly nice here. And it's like, well, yeah, but people are also people, and people are, I much prefer the whole people are convinced that they are doing the right thing rather than people know they're doing the wrong thing and they're loving it.
Yeah.
Kind of thing, which feels like some of his characters are.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, again, is a pretty valid way of writing a character, but again, as a reader, not really. I don't find it the most compelling thing, because it feels like they're all just trying to play the game, but in a kind of.
It's a little bit of a, like, it's a hard world, so we need to be hard men in order to get through it and do the bad things. And it's like, it doesn't actually have to be like that. You can.
Yeah. And I think that's where the TV series really did well, because obviously the actors managed to put a lot more, not necessarily a lot more character, but
humanity.
What they thought was the character into each one. So
like
Tufts the Wanderer, tough voyage.
Yeah, I don't know what that is.
No, I haven't heard of that.
No. Like a
also read a short story once where it's split narration, flipping between two characters' perspectives. Start out thinking one person's the hero and the other villain. It swaps. That's really cool. I like that.
Yeah, that's exactly the sort of thing we're going on about. Like, and again, not every story has to conform to these demands. It's one book space fantasy.
It's by George Martin. Oh right.
Okay.
Oh okay.
No, I didn't know that.
Didn't know he wrote sci-fi. Oh okay.
Okay.
Have to look into that.
Yeah. Like not everything has to meet these standards. Like this isn't like all books must be like this and all fiction must work this way.
No,
you write what you like. But it's just
within reason.
Yeah. Yes. Looking at you, 50 Shades. But like that sounds like an interesting. That sounds like an interesting story. And yes, I am going to much more readily understand and relate to your antagonist if that's something you want. If from their perspective it feels like they're doing the right thing, rather than that. It's that sort of suspension of disbelief is the big thing, and it's I guess it's a stock, it's a supply that you are asking the reader, asking the audience to pay out as you go. And if you're doing sci-fi and fantasy, then you have to establish the rules of the world. Like if you have magic works this way, so that when suddenly someone shows up and goes, I cast stop time and now I can do all the things that I need to do, and you go, well, you just kind of pull that out of your ass, unless it's established that you can do this thing. And if you don't want it to feel cheap, then it has to come at a cost, and you do that. And so and suspension of disbelief again comes down to individual character actions and motivations, where it's like I don't like the whole plot hole ding, cinema sins, person did a thing that I didn't expect them to do. Well, sometimes sometimes yes, that seems inconsistent with the character, and we've discussed this before, I'm pretty sure. The character did something that I didn't expect, ding, plot hole, they shouldn't do it. Like, no, shut up, stop.
But also people do things that they don't expect.
People act inconsistently. Sometimes someone does something you didn't expect, and that's not a plot hole. That's you learning something new about the character, their actions, and their motivations, and how they behave under certain situations.
And often the character learning something about themselves.
Yeah, it's you've put them in a new situation and seen how they react, and this is new information for you. That's not a plot hole. That's you learning. That's writing. That's storytelling, character development. So
Yeah.
yeah, but and again, that's where like there is no one set suspension of disbelief for everybody. Different people have different things that they will look at and go, yeah, I'll go with that. It's the sure capacity of an individual to see something presented to them you weren't expecting and go, yeah, okay, or I'm not sure. And like having a villain, having an antagonist go, I'm gonna kill 30,000 people is a big ask.
Yeah.
Like that's that's usually the point where you are testing that suspension of disbelief, and mostly you get round that by going, well, this person has a facial disfigurement.
Therefore, they hate everyone.
Mr. Bond. So, and that's a pretty poor justification, and that's why Bond villains tend to come under a bit of criticism for that. But yeah, when like that's essentially like what the author is trying to set up and establish. And maybe first of all, the first thing you should be thinking is let's not have everyone try to kill 30,000 people, because honestly, it's kind of a boring goal now. We're just kind of used to that.
Yeah.
Oh, hello, cat. FD to you
nice.
too. Yeah, like that's just a stock standard goal now for villains. I want to kill everyone, or I want all the money. Like, okay, what are you going to do with all the money when no one else has any money?
Yeah.
So, and I feel like they've been trying to diversify that a little bit more, but I think in a lot of films, generally, they're kind of running up against that problem of what do we actually want villains to accomplish so that they can be the villain? Like, what's their end goal here? Again, when we have actual real life villains running factories, running like Amazon or Tesla. I'm sorry, Jeff Bezos and Elon Musk, you are villains. Like they just are, and like actually mistreating their employees and working them into the ground and expecting them to be grateful for the meager handout they get for the privilege of doing so. And it's like that's real world villains, but that's a real difficult sell. Firstly, when these people also, you try and get that made on Amazon.
Yeah, I was going to say when they own the actual distributors that you're trying to put them on.
Although how Severance ever got made by Apple, I do not know.
Yeah.
Which is like, okay, impressive. But as I was saying with you, Lucy, it's like, it makes me wonder, like, oh, so what punches did you have to pull to get this made by Apple? Because it is extremely critical of that kind of corporate culture. And yet it's made and funded by them. Like, oh, is this not still in the end just a net PR for Apple? Is this not like good press for them? If you say, hey, go watch it, like, great, Apple stands to profit from this criticism of them. It's it's lol, you're critical of me, but I can still end your life.
Like Andy's saying, being big and powerful enough to publish people criticizing you is a flex in and of itself.
Exactly. And that's where I'm like, I love Severance, it's a great show, but it still kind of makes it a tough recommend, because it's like, ultimately it still benefits Apple, and as you say, it's just a flex on their part to be able to do this and ride it out without any negative repercussions.
It's a very good show, though.
But it is very good. I absolutely love the.
Also, yes, Sandman, definitely want to watch.
I really want to see that too. Yes.
Yes. Yes, because Neil Gaiman. Is good people in so many ways.
Yes.
Very cool. But I was going to say about villains. And this kind of circles back to what we were saying earlier of like older books and stuff going from one perspective and following one person and stuff. It's because with like the way films are and the way, especially like big title films, like big blockbusters and stuff, the scale has to be huge.
Yeah.
So what do the villains do? Well, they've got to have some kind of huge villainous purpose, and that we're so used to that now, and it's not evil, it's not bad anymore, because it's just, as you say, predictable and expected, and it's like, oh, you're going to kill everyone, okay, great.
It's just escalation. It's like like Hans Gruber wants to take the money in the Nakatomi Plaza and kill some people along the way. Well, we can't do that again. Okay, what about if someone wants to blow up like an entire city block? All right, and then 10 years later it's, I want to blow up every galaxy in every parallel universe, just all the galaxies. Oh, okay. Can't really top that. Which is where, again, like my call is for, please give me more interesting villains with smaller stakes. Like
because that's the thing as well, because a villain isn't scary to someone watching or reading unless they can feel a bit of themselves in the victim and feel like somehow it's like, oh, I'm scared of this person because there's something that they could do to me, kind of thing. You like, this is if they can relate on some kind of personal level, that either they see a bit of themselves in the villain, or they see someone that they have encountered in their life who is similar to this person and they did not like. All of these kind of things. That is, I think, what makes a really, really compelling villain. And obviously, if someone's going to go, I'm going to blow everything up, you're just like, right.
Yeah.
You are so many stages removed from affecting me personally.
Yeah.
Like, if someone is a villain in a person's life, they are usually out to get them in some way. They are out to affect that person's life in some negative way.
Yeah.
And as soon as you just go, oh, they're just a bad person, it's like, well, that's not an effective villain anymore, because it's not even that the stakes are big, you've just taken the stakes away entirely. The stakes are someone else's problem. The villain is just a bad person sort of out there. And I was just trying to think of like one of my favorite villains, and I've just forgotten it. It's like my favorite kinds of villains are the ones just that absolutely make my skin crawl. I can't think. I'm trying not to do the typical horror villains, because obviously that's a bit of a different kind of thing.
I'm just thinking of actually what's kind of on
Kilgrave and Jessica Jones. That's a good example.
Oh, okay.
Not that I've seen clips, but also David Tennant is very good at being just And honestly, I find Christopher Walken just terrifying in anything. Don't know why. Just for some reason that guy gives me the heebie-jeebies. Do not know why. I'm sure he's a nice guy.
Seems like it.
Sorry, you were saying.
I was going to say, like, again, I want to try and find some positives, but what made me think, what just kind of jumped into my mind was actually Oxenfree and what I'd heard about Oxenfree 2, which made me go, okay, I'll still try it. I still want to play it. But where they talked about, like in Oxenfree 1, the video game, love it, go play it. It's basically a novel. Really well voice acted interactive novel.
Very good.
With a wonderful soundtrack. It's so good. And the ending, the ending genuinely still like just creeps me out every time I think about it. I love it. It's so good.
Yeah, it's just like, what's the moment of just like, oh.
Yeah, it's the perfect, like the perfect horror, like, oh, they're still here kind of ending. Like I'm spoiling it now, but it's so good. And that's the thing. Oxenfree 1 is about the fate of these kids on this island. That's it. That's the stakes. And sure, it's to do with their lives and their continued living existence, but that's it. We're not saving the county, we're not saving the country, we're not saving the world, we're not saving humanity or anything like. It's just these kids. Do they get out? And it's in that regard, it's pretty low stakes slasher kind of fare in terms of like, you know, we're just concentrating on these people and do they get out? And then sort of reading about Oxenfree 2, I know it was an interview with one of the developers, and he was saying like, that was Oxenfree 1, but in 2 we're dealing with like time and manipulation, and so that's going to put like the whole future of time and space at stake. And I'm like, no, you've lost me. Like, it's sure. Well, I mean, also, maybe, but it's like, no.
Also, the whole. Do I just completely spoil it or not?
Spoiling what? Oxenfree.
Oxenfree.
Chat. What do you think?
I'll try and be vague.
Okay.
But the whole kind of bad guys, I guess. Anyway, the whole kind of thing that you're sort of
antagonistic entity
against. Yeah, there we go. That isn't want to kill everyone.
Yeah.
That is a very personal thing.
It's self-preservation.
You tried it and gave up, so spoil away. Okay. Oh. Well, yeah, like I mean, I don't really want to spoil it because I think like people should play it. It's a fantastic game. But just
we'll respect that, Harpers.
But again, like it's not a it's not this kind of I know it's not your typical sort of horror.
Yeah.
No, I'm thinking of like a horror, like a evil entity that's trying to get in everywhere and kill everybody in a sort of insidious way. But it is, there is humanity there. There is a reason for that, and you don't necessarily feel like you're against a bad thing necessarily. It's just a scenario that's just happened.
Yeah, your positive outcome isn't a positive outcome for everyone that you care about, or everyone that you should care about.
Yeah.
And that's good. That's complex. It's an interesting.
It's nice.
Yeah, like again, like the neat resolution. Everything is good for the good people, and everything is bad for the bad people. Is kind of a boring, unrealistic conclusion. Again, Game of Thrones. That's like, this is after that. This is after the fairy tale ending, because there are no fairy tale endings. Nothing ever really ends, and things always carry on. They're like time marches on, and things that people do have outcomes on the future, or have effects on the future, and leads to unexpected outcomes. And that's the point of that. And so that's the thing. A story has to end at some point, but the stories of the characters doesn't end when the film stops, and or when the game stops, and when the credits roll. So I appreciate things that have like a kind of technicolor ending, with like the full spectrum of things. Like, sure, we got what we wanted, but at what cost? But in a good way.
I like, it's the sort of lack of closure. It's closure where you need it, but not necessarily complete closure. And that's quite interesting for me, coming from someone who has, and again, this is very much not on the topic of books or films, someone who has studied a lot of opera. And a very good example of, Mozart's operas are some of the best operas out there. I love them. They are very, very interesting social explorations of class, of wealth, of standing, of personal goals and stuff like that. And one of his most famous ones, and not necessarily his most famous one, Marriage of Figaro, it depends on the director, gets tied up neatly on the surface, but you have to, basically, the best productions of it are those that you come away from thinking, okay, what happens next? That doesn't feel like that like they're not going to walk away from this going, everything's fine and good. They've got to live the rest of their lives with all of this hanging over them, and all of this still to kind of sort out. Figaro's Wedding too. Well, interestingly, it's actually three stories that were written. You've got the Barber of Seville, which Mozart didn't write an opera for, that Rossini did that, but that story is just a story, and it's basically the prequel to the Marriage of Figaro. And then there is actually a third story, I think it's called like the Guilty Countess or something like that, that is then sort of what happens after that, and is very much evidence that the Marriage of Figaro does not end in a neat little bow, and stuff is still not okay, and more stuff like comes out. It's basically just like a story of the Count and Countess. The Count is a bit of a philandering and keeps on going after one of his servants, or one of his wife's servants, who is just about to marry one of his servants. And they're a powerhouse couple. They're excellent. And Susanna, the female servant, is basically like, it's called the Marriage of Figaro, should be called the Marriage of Susanna. She's the best character in the whole thing. She gets most of the singing, and she actually is the one who actually solves things. But basically, it's kind of an exploration of how their roles in this very feudal society end up sort of working around this very awkward situation. And we have cat, and basically how the Count ends up apologizing for near infidelity basically to his wife.
Whoops.
And
no, I mean, like,
oh, sorry, I thought you
no
cat. And yeah, again a lot of
No.
opera opinions with Lucy. Yeah, you didn't expect this, but a lot of directors have like the very final scene as a he's asking for forgiveness. She's forgiven him. It's all okay. But depending on the director, he or she can make or the cast have an opinion and they go, I'm going to make this feel not as convincing an apology as it should be, or I'm not going to make this feel as convincing an acceptance of that apology. um, and that is my favorite thing about that particular ending, and in fact about just like any story that there is this conflict that, you know, as the audience, as the reader, you know that this cannot be solved by it being tied up in a nice little bow at the end of a film or a book or whatever. You know that they like he is very, oh, look at him. um you know that they have lives to live, and
Yeah.
characters, if you like characters, if you make believable characters, you have to believe that they keep on existing. They don't just stop when the book or the film stops. They've got to keep going. So if you just suddenly stop and everything's tied up, you're just like, well, what happens next?
Yeah.
And I really like it when this kind of open-ended, just no closure, and it's just like, oh, I get to work this out or think about this for myself.
Yeah.
Because that's yeah, like, and again, Oxenfree is a good example of that. It's just like stuff has sort of been sorted, but also, oh, oh no, it
Yeah.
hasn't.
Yeah. It's like
What
that. That's
happens now?
it's the yeah. It's the that realization that, oh, okay, we've done the. I realized I was going to be able to find like the good squitch spot on his.
Yeah,
There's
on
like a
his
bit on his
chest.
chest where he just can't handle it, and he just
He
kind of
just
goes
goes,
like, "No, I don't know what to do." But he's really getting into it. Um, yeah, it's like a lot of like stories in general have a start, a middle, and an end, and just like that's it. Story's over.
yeah,
Everyone lived happily ever after, and that and it kind of it throws people for a loop when a story doesn't end that way,
yeah,
and actually and it kind of acknowledges the far more realistic outcome that life goes on. Things happen
mm,
after the end of this, not in a
yeah,
dun 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 sequel to what happens next, still to be concluded. Like, but just this is a sequence of events that happen from the life of these people, and that carries on. And
yeah,
that's where, again, my references are all like film, cinema, Hollywood blockbuster stuff, like the end of Inception, that confused so many people, including me, until I went and
oh
read
yeah,
like discourse about it, and was like, oh wait, yeah, it's like, whoa, where does it end? Is he real, or like is he in reality, or is he still in a dream? And it's like the point of the ending of that film is that he has accepted where he is. His whole thing has
yeah,
been, I don't know what's real to me. I don't know my own reality that surrounds me. I can't trust this, so I need to keep questing for it. And eventually he has hit the point of just like, I am home. I accept where I am
yeah,
is real. It's his kids. They're like, but you don't see his kids' faces, and we contacted the costume director to find out if they're wearing the same clothes as they were in other shots. And like, that's not the point. It's not a puzzle
no,
box to try and unravel and find the real true meaning. The real meaning is that this character is just he is content. He has found
yeah.
a
The
level of
meaning is what the
acceptance.
character's meaning
Yeah,
is, like what meaning he finds.
yeah, and
Yeah,
it's like that's the thing. Like, sure, the credits roll, but that the point is that his life will continue here. This is where he is. He has put aside the uncertainty, the ambiguity, and accepted where he is as his reality. Story, like, life goes on,
yeah,
and yeah, that's that.
yeah.
And yeah, that's
Also, yeah, Harper's, that's, yeah, animated characters have only the lives that you draw from them. Like, you think about the actors and then but with animated characters, they just exist like in that space, and then it's like, oh, they stop.
hmm,
Yeah, I know what you mean. Also, Taming of the Shrew, I don't think Taming of the Shrew should end in any other way that's not sarcastically, because feminism. Like, she ain't tamed. Like,
I've never
just
seen
no.
nor read it.
It's basically, it's like, I'm gonna marry this woman. She's difficult. I'm gonna marry her though. And it's
Oh.
like, whether we like her or not, it's like, I'm gonna tame her. She's gonna be all meek and mild by the time I'm done with her, kind of thing.
Oh.
It's just like, oh, as a woman who's got an opinion, we can't have that. Let's
Oh,
let's
great.
tame her. Yes.
Yeah.
And the musical version of that is Kiss Me Kate, which is also very good and very funny and has excellent songs in it, like
Okay.
Brush Up Your Shakespeare and Too Darn Hot as well. It's a very, very good
Oh, right.
musical. But it's, the whole point is, it's just like, I shall tame this wild woman. And she's like, oh, I'm tame. I love you now. It's fine. And it's like, nah. Just watch 10 Things I Hate About You. There we go. That's 10 Things I Hate About You is based on Taming of the Shrew.
It's just another one where like Shakespeare wrote it with one intention, and then you read it like as a modern audience and go,
possibly.
well, now hang on. Which
possibly. I don't know. Shakespeare got irony.
Yeah, I mean, the subject I'm going to jump onto, which you can probably see coming, was I remember doing Merchant of Venice.
Yes. I thought you were going to say King Lear there for a second.
No, I did. I do remember doing King Lear. No, Merchant of Venice in GCSE English, and just Shylock gets what's coming to him at the end. It's like, no, even then, as a kid from very white, very middle class Oxfordshire, at not proud of it, but a private Christian school, I could see that this was an injustice. Like this, I was unhappy about the ending of that story, and I don't feel like Shakespeare agreed with that. Like my reading was that I felt like Shakespeare was like, yeah, I get it, and I'm like, no, this guy deserves justice. This guy deserves something, and they're like, lol, you lost everything, you scrub, her, and it's like, hang on, that's why. Because he's Jewish, even then, like, and I bring those subjects up because I was an ignorant kid. I really was. It took a long time for me to actually, like, not as bad as some, but still pretty ignorant, still kind of a dumbass, in terms of some of the views that I held, and not willfully, but just they're around. You just pick them up until you start to question them, and even then I can see like, no, this just wasn't right. This wasn't fair. This wasn't a correct treatment of this character. He deserves much better. I don't like this story. And I remember, like sort of writing discussions and essays and stuff like that about it, and the painstaking analysis of the quality of mercy is not strained, it droppeth as the whatever. And I was like, you get the hell down off your high horse there. You have treated this man badly. You have mistreated and abused him every single day of his life. You don't get to start talking about mercy and justice and fairness and equality. Shut up. Good grief. That angered me then, and it still angers me now, as you can probably tell. And so I was never convinced that like Shakespeare was doing this to anger people and highlight the plight and mistreatment of Jewish folk even back then, even still ongoing now. Like that just felt like it was like, this guy's a villain. He gets what's coming to him. Wow. And like, no, knock it off.
It feels like that a bit in Othello as well. Well, not it doesn't like necessarily paint Othello as the villain. Othello obviously isn't the villain. Iago is. He's been a manipulative but there is very much that kind of, he's a black guy, therefore he's going to be more angry, and his pride's gonna, and it's like, no, his best friend manipulated him into thinking his wife was unfaithful. That's gonna screw you up. No, that's not his fault. Don't make this about him. Don't make this about his race, for God's sake. So that there is a bit of that in that as well. It's like, nah, this guy's been screwed over by society as it is. Let's like don't bring that into it as well. But again, with things, Taming of the Shrew discussed the possibility that Shakespeare added that specific ending for public acceptance purposes because it's not really set up in the preceding text. That would be something that I wouldn't be surprised if it were the case. Because it's also like Shakespeare, she's pretty good at writing fairly strong female characters. Apart from Cordelia and King Lear, who I just cannot stand because she's a goody two shoes. But like, Goneril and Regan in Reagan in King Lear, for example. Strong independent women, sure, not very nice, but but yeah, like strong female characters who get stuff done, even if that is gouging out someone's eyes. Yay!
Everyone's got to have a hobby.
Yeah, there was boss babes,
girl bossing.
Go that far. Yep. I can't remember which version of King Lear I saw. I can't remember. I don't think it was one I saw on stage. I think it was a TV adaptation or a filmed production.
Yeah.
Where whichever sister it is, I can't remember whichever sister it is that gets the Earl of Gloucester's eyes gouged out.
Yeah.
Did it with her heel.
Oh no, thank you.
It was like, I mean, it's a horrible scene as is, but it's like, okay. I like that, the fact that she did it, because that's kind of, she is the one manipulating her husband, blah, blah, blah. That is all kind of, that works very well, but also just, that's so unpleasant. No, I mean, King Lear is not exactly a pleasant.
It's not a cheery work. No, I'm
play anyway. It's a good play.
English lit.
Yeah. So
yeah,
but I really like King Lear. I think it's great. But yeah, Shakespeare's a weird one.
Yeah, and like Annie said, like there's no way to know for sure either way.
Nobody knows really. Yeah.
Yeah.
But they're good plays.
Yeah.
Apart from the histories, they're boring. My dad would murder me for saying that. Because he thinks, I mean, I don't really care too much, but I suppose Henry V is decent. But who cares about history, right?
The gentlemen of England now, I bet you'll think themselves accursed they were not here.
Yeah. So, Prince Hal.
To war.
Yeah. Is it 4 or 5? I think it's 5 that's Falstaff.
He's Falstaff's in a bunch, isn't he? I think he's like a recurring character in a few.
In
the series.
Main one he's in.
Yeah.
I think it's 5.
Yeah. I shall write Brian Blessed before Brian Blessed exists.
Basically.
Yeah. It's like the
stuff is
the recent J.K.
or
Simmons.
Simon Callow.
Oh yeah, true. They're saying the recent like J.K. Simmons as J. Jonah Jameson is the perfect casting. Like yes, but also have you considered Brian Blessed as Falstaff? Because
Brian Blessed would make an amazing Falstaff.
Is basically that if he must have played him.
He would have done at some point, I'm sure.
It is the character written for the man, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've seen Simon Russell Beale do. Oh, I think that was in the Hollow Crown actually. You know, when they did the adaptation on TV of all the histories.
Oh right.
Simon Russell Beale did Falstaff, and he did a very good job.
Oh right.
But I just think Simon Russell Beale's great in everything. Very good in A Death of Stalin. Death of Stalin.
I know you pointed him out to me before. I don't know his face.
Yeah. Just Simon Russell Beale. He is. Seems like a great guy.
Yeah.
Also, was a chorister at St Paul's.
Oh.
And has done lots of like TV shows on music.
Yeah.
So it's a good guy.
Huh.
Your entire historical knowledge of England prior to World War II is from Shakespeare and OSP?
OSP.
I can't think what that is.
No.
Ordnance Survey people. I don't know. Nope, no idea.
No. Yeah, you'll have to say. Are we about done?
Overly sarcastic productions. Oh, okay.
I don't know what that is.
Know the name vaguely, I think.
YouTube channel.
I haven't seen any of them.
I wonder how far removed they are from things I watch.
Probably not very. It's got the word sarcastic in. They're great. I can believe it. But yeah, I reckon we've talked enough about books today.
Books and many other subjects.
And books and films and a little bit of opera. This
is how we stretch this for 2 hours. Sam talks about films and games.
Yeah. And I desperately tried to steer it back onto books.
Yeah. And my worry is that because we take about a month and change between these that we just sit and talk about the same subjects
The
every
same
time
things and we
and
just forget them. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
it's do please tell us, Sam. Yeah, we've got like 5 different takes on cinema
Yeah.
already. It's the
Yeah.
same stuff. Please, like, if you're getting bored of it, please say, and I'll try and find a new subject.
Yeah.
But
Or give us, or like if there's anything you particularly fancy discussing with us, us discussing with you, yeah, do say. Yeah.
always down for that.
Yeah.
But
And
yeah.
if you want us to read McGonagall poetry on the next one, you can.
I forget what the command is.
It's just coffee, isn't it? Yeah, there we go.
Oh yeah, okay.
Then you can hop onto coffee and chuck us some money. Doesn't matter how much. We do not mind how big or small. For our £30 McGonagall, every time that goal is hit, doesn't have to be like we're not asking one person to hit it. Doesn't have to happen every time. But if you feel like chucking us some money towards us reading silly poems, then you can do that, and we will read silly poems because they are great. And we love William McGonagall.
We do, and the spirit he embodied.
Indeed, spirit of trying.
Do what you love.
Very hard.
Do it to the best of your ability, even if that's not a very high standard.
Yeah. And have confidence in doing a thing,
look,
whether badly or not.
If he can do this, you can do your thing that you're not sure about.
Exactly.
That's what we want. But yeah, I think we're going to wrap things up there, and we could raid over to Stephen, who is live. Or actually, I was going to say we could raid Vic, actually, Bowie Hair, because she is doing Return to Monkey Island. Oh, Speedy's on as well. Oh, Speedy's doing Red Dead 2.
Oh, choices.
It's Talk Like a Pirate Day. I'm feeling Monkey Island, I think.
I thought you were going to say I'm feeling like a monkey.
There's that too. Always.
Yeah.
Let's raid Vic. Let's go to Bowie Hair. So
sure.
I'm going to get that typed in.
Been a lovely way to spend your bus ride home. Oh, I am glad.
Oh, nice.
I'm glad we could be your company on your bus ride.
Indeed.
I hope it was
for being here.
An uneventful bus ride. And thank you for being here. Yeah, thank you everyone for being here. You're all wonderful.
Indeed.
And it's always lovely to have people to chat to.
Yeah. And know that you're listening in some way. But yeah, we're going to go. So come back on Wednesday for the final concluding parts of The Count of Monte Cristo. And then ideally next Saturday for the final concluding part of The War of the Worlds. And then after that, everything changes.
Everything.
Yeah, this is probably going to go over to short stories for a bit, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, it's going to be ghost stories from here on in because it's October in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, spooky month.
Spooky.
But yeah, we're going to go. So take care of yourselves. Thank you all for being here. Have a wonderful rest of the day. Enjoy one last look at the cat who's here.
Bless him.
And it's, goodbye from me.
And it's goodbye from me.
And it's goodbye from him. 2 Ronnies. I'm not. Yeah, anyway. Realise no one's going to get that. Great. It's how they ended. But I'm thinking like our multicultural international audience.
I guess.
Probably not a lot of like.
Oh, that makes me sad.
Yeah.
2 Ronnies are great.
2 Ronnies are very good. But yeah, we're going to go. So goodbye and thank you for being here. Bye.
Goodbye.
There's the camera.